who a disbeliever is. It's very simple. Firstly, we're going to break it off. The disbeliever legally in this world versus the disbeliever in the sight of Allah that gets punished with the hellfire versus the disbeliever who has an excuse inside of Allah. 3 parts, 1 in this world and 2 in the next world. In this world, any non-Muslim is a disbeliever. So that's how simple it is. Yulhaq bil kafir. So the question, where do we bury him? We're talking about this world. Where do we bury him? Can he enter and make Hajj with us in Mecca? Right? Can he lead the prayer? Can he be the Khalifa or a Sultan or a Qadi or a judge amongst Muslims? No, anyone, even the nicest guy who never heard of Islam will legally be classified as a kafir. This is only a worldly classification. If I'm a zakat collector, I collect zakat and I collect jizya. And I come upon this guy. Which one am I collecting? Am I collecting his zakat? Of course not. He's not a Muslim. Take jizya from him. So anybody, whether they heard of Islam or not, we legally classified as a kafir. If he's the nicest guy in the world, he never heard of Islam, and he dies, he won't be buried in a Muslim graveyard. He's going to get a burial of a non-believer and be buried with them. And we won't make supplication for him. Those are the laws, our religious laws in relation to a non-believer. Doesn't mean we hate you. Doesn't mean you're going to hell even. You may be better than us, right? Actually, you should probably take it. If someone said to you, here is the message of the truth, now go hold on to it in your heart and live by it and then earn heaven and hell. Or the person who died never hearing the truth, and we know for sure by Nass al-Quran that he's going to be forgiven, why would you take the risk? So we actually may think even more highly of him than ourselves at this point in time. And we call him a kafir simultaneously. He's a kafir, legally speaking. It's not a derogatory term when we're talking jurisprudence. When we're talking law, that's just a category. So now let's go to the otherworldly aspect. The otherworldly splits in 2. The kafir who heard the message and consciously rejected it is mukhallad finnar. He is eternally punished by God in the fire. And the kafir who never heard the truth or heard it in a manner that Allah deemed insufficient, or himself was deficient mentally or age-wise or cognitively, therefore Allah deems that he's not mukallaf. These people are in paradise. So that's how we would separate between the 2. Okay, the Maturidi position states that reason is sufficient to know that there is one God. The Ash'a'ira recognize that, but they say that it still is not sufficient to be judged because reason cannot tell you that there's an eternal hellfire. So reason tells me there's one God. Okay, good. What's forcing me to consider this, right? Like, okay, that's nice. So what? So there has to be a consequence. So I need to know what the consequence. The consequence can only be known through transmission. So the Ash'ari says you're correct. The Maturidis are correct about that, but they're still not mukallaf until you learn that God demands this and he will punish and reward for it. So Hakim says, why give people da'wah? You're dooming them. So there's a big difference between the result and the obligation. We're obligated to do it because Allah told us to. We are obligated to do it because the benefits far outweigh ignorance. And on top of that, Allah doesn't need to explain it. He commanded us to do it. Out of our humility, should we assume that the kuffar are better than us, since they still have the potential to receive guidance and surpass us in the deen while they are alive? No, our aqidah is that we should have humility as long as a kafir, a non-believer, is not attacking your religion, nor attacking the believers. Then humility is not the correct attitude with them, because Allah says, ashidda ala al-kuffar. They are firm with such people. But if somebody is not that, then yes, humility, we should have humility, of course. It's a quality to have. And should assume that they can potentially be, they're not better than us now. No. You're a person of Tawheed and Islam and Salah. How could that be less than kufr? No, that wouldn't be correct. But we must believe that in the future, we don't know the future. They could be better than us in the future. I could be worse than them. I could be better than them too. Right? And maybe we shouldn't even always just be comparing ourselves. You should just say, may Allah guide us and them. Like, why compare this comparison? May Allah guide us and them. But if someone's being arrogant, like the Pharisees, they were arrogant. And there's a parable where a Pharisee and a tax collector, what they call the publicans. You know, like today, if a Muslim became like a politician, and we don't see him in the masjid at all, and he's just in the circles of politics, and then you have an imam or a sheikh, and then the sheikh and that politician, they meet in the mosque. Which one naturally would you assume is better? Naturally, you'd assume the guy who's always in the masjid is better, and he's a scholar. So in this parable that's found in Christian sources, it's a nice parable of Jesus. It says that the Pharisee walks in, he looks at the publican, the tax collector, works for the Romans, completely Romanized, lost his deen, and he says, "Praise be to you, Lord, who have not made me like other people, and made me come to the temple and pray and fast 2 times a week," because the Pharisees used to fast 2 times a week, and write the Torah, etc., etc., etc. Praise be to you who made me like that, and not like some other people. Right? That's all facts, by the way. And by the way, in that dua is there. That dua is in the Sunnah too. But it's with humility. So this person was saying it. Praise be to you who made me fast and all that. But Jesus is saying, he's saying it with a pompous heart and looking down at that publican. Whereas, as Jesus is going to say, it's like, shouldn't he be praying for him? Isn't the first priority for you to pray for this man? Right? Not compare yourself and pump yourself up with your good deeds. Then now the publican says, the tax collector says, God, I stand before you with nothing to say. I bow my head. I have nothing. I don't have any good deeds, and my bad deeds are well known. Everybody knows them. And the Pharisee walks out, and his heart, his head is up high, and his belief in himself is grand. Meanwhile, the tax collector bows his head down, believing he's a hopeless case. And Jesus says, which heart earns God's mercy at that point? So they used to say to Jesus, why are you paying attention to these sinners? He says, the sin is in the past. The salvation he needs is now. Yes, he's a sinner, but he needs salvation. So, and he wouldn't address their past immediately. The teaching will come later. And so that's our perspective on dawah. And many people, they get alarmed by this. They get really alarmed. Why are you interacting with this person? Now, the interaction should not be in a place of fisq. So we would disagree with a Muslim going to a bar to have mercy with the people, right? That's not the right way to do it, okay? That wouldn't be the right way to do it.